One thing we spoke about before the podcast was Adam Grant's book, and you were talking about this idea where there's three, types of people in networking or in friendships or whatever. There's kind of givers and takers and things like that. Could you elaborate on that a bit further?
Yeah, I'd love to. Yeah. The book Give and Take by Adam Grant that you mentioned, I thought was really good. Aligned with a lot of things I've thought and written about too, which is why I loved it. And he talked about givers, matchers, and takers, as you said. So takers are always what's in it for me. So that's like, there always has to be something in it for me that's really obvious for me to be willing to help. So for example, if you said to me, present example, like, Joe, come on the podcast. If I was a taker and I couldn't see anything clear in it for me, am I going to get more clients? Am I going to get more leads? Am I going to get more exposure? All right. Am I going to get some of those things? All right. Yeah. All right, I'll come on. Like a taker is, and they're trying to take the full value they can out of you without little regard for what goes in the other direction. So it's like, I don't really care about like this James guy. I'm just like, whatever. If I can go on there, get some more credibility with business client, whatever. Matches are like traders, like has to be an even exchange of value in both directions. And obviously like pretty, like at the same time. So we're doing some promotion for the book at the moment. And a guy the other day go to me, someone introduced me to him. He has a podcast. I thought, all right, can we have a conversation? This is what I care about. It's what I'm trying to do. And he said, all right, you can come on my podcast, but I see you have a podcast too. And then maybe I can come on your podcast. So that's like a matcher. Like, all right, I'll let you come on mine if I can come on yours. And I was like, actually, my podcast is solo. Like I don't do guests, unfortunately. So we'll be able to do that.
Yeah.
And he goes, oh. And he goes, my podcast is slowing down at the moment. And
oh, wow.
Like, I can do it, but I'll send you the audio to edit or something. And I was like, no, mate, not interested.
Yeah.
That's an example of matcher, right? It has to go even in exchange. It has to happen at that point in time, mainly. And then third is givers. And givers are like, all right, here, I'll come on the podcast or I'll introduce you to this person without a really obvious or tangible thing to come back. If I know someone who could be an incredible guest here that might not respond to you directly, I can just introduce them to you and be like, but what's in that for Joe? How does James' podcast relate to me and all that? That's the thing. I think everyone's benefit is linked to everyone else in the big picture, but people don't really think about it. So even the giver thing, it's probably not too different to the others as we think. But yeah, it's generally like a generosity that seems unattached to anything coming back. No expectation of it being repaid, giving. But also not selfless, not completely like being a doormat and letting people walk over you. There's like the selfless giver and then there's the kind of pragmatic giver, which is, yeah, I can give this or I can't do a week of podcasts with you, James. I've got a busy week. Like at the end of the day, I've got to protect some stuff that I got to. Yeah. So that's the traditional concept of givers in that book. But the fascinating thing I think about is really if you expand your thinking and you think long-term and you think very broadly, normally like other people's advantages become your advantages too. All right. So part of the context is, right, you're a member of our community, right? The Constant Student. And the better you go, like the more people can understand, oh, wow, there are communities out there that you can tap into that will help you just bounce things off and help you get set up with a project or anything like that. And then that is good. And then that's the kind of world I want to live in. That people do that. And also it's very enjoyable and meaningful to like contribute to someone who has like direction, stuff like that, and ambition and dreams or anything like that, just across the board. Very meaningful. So I do get something out of it anyway, if I help someone like that. And I know that people have felt the same way about me. So even though the giver thing is almost a bit tricky because it's actually, it's almost like just the probably what changes is like the delay or how clearly you can relate the benefit received by the giver to like the gift given by the giver.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense, but I gave my best shot.
No.
See, that philosophy makes all my behaviors make sense.
Yes.
It's actually, we're all rising tide lifts all boats. We all have aligned interests. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And I've heard that like similar thing, like with the giving, even just as a kind of business idea. Like I know Gary Vee's had that book called Jab, Right Hook or something. It's something like that.
Yeah.
So a lot of businesses do that, whether it's on social media or whatever, where they like just give you like free videos on YouTube or like free content about this topic or whatever. to develop the relationship. And then there's no expectation of a return with those. Like they're not expecting you to come and donate them money like afterwards.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they are secretly hoping, I guess, that when they actually do release something, that you like care about them and you're invested in what they're doing enough so that you'll go and buy their course or sign up to whatever it might be.
The other thing with that, you go back to dating and would you like to go on 6 dates with me? You know, if you say that to someone, they're like, do I want to go on 6 dates with this guy? I'm not sure if I want to do that. But you go, all right, you want to go on 1 date? No expectations of a second, third or fourth. You're like, oh yeah, I can commit to that. And so what that strategy does, inbound marketing and all that sort of stuff, is that is what relationship building is. It's breaking things down to a small enough step that someone can commit to. And if it's a significant person, like in the business world or something that you're trying to get in touch with, almost like giving them a LinkedIn message or an email that they can just reply to, that they would reply to, is almost like a great first step. It's almost better than having nothing.
Yeah.
Sending them like a big pitch and a dump. That's interesting to think about. And even with those, even the ones you're talking about, even the people like, I'm sure they do hope that they pay, but even the ones that don't end up paying, they probably still spread awareness of that person's brand. Like, hey, Seth Godin or Gary Vee has this free YouTube video. I just send you the YouTube video. And you've never heard of Gary Vee before. You're now aware of him and you've got a relationship with him. It's familiarity. How often do you land on a website and spend $1,000 with someone you've never heard of, a product you've never heard of? Not that often. But if you've heard of them before and stuff like that, you've got that familiarity, then you're more likely to buy. Yeah, Gary Vee, like I see that guy everywhere. I'll buy his course or whatever, or I'll pay him to be my media marketing manager, whatever. And again, you come back to relationships. It's the same thing. Like you see someone around a lot, you have a couple of touch points with them, it builds trust.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's super cool. And I think even myself, you can relate it. Let's say your personal brand, like, is how not only are you perceived in person or whatever, like, or online maybe you have your own personal Instagram for like business related stuff or whatever. Maybe you have your own website. But your personal brand is also how you interact with people. What do you like when you go and watch the footy at someone's house or stuff like that? So like this kind of giving thing is not just for like when you're trying to network with someone or like online advice or like even in a business, like offering value by like releasing content or whatever. Yeah, it's definitely about, this person said they were interested in coming along to this event that I've previously been to. Let's connect them with the organizer or things like that you can really like positively impact people.
Yeah, majorly. Like I believe the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. And I noticed that in so many ways. Like even when I look at people I play soccer with and like I realize the similarities between maybe how they play soccer, because a lot of them are school friends or my brothers. So like, there's similarities between the way they play soccer and the way they like their work ethic and everything like that. And it's hard to switch things on and off. And it's very hard to do it for a long time. So it's funny, even though networking can be a dirty word, it's what I'm happy to use, because every conclusion I think of, every time I think about it, the way to do it most effectively is just at the end of the day, become a better person.
Yeah.
Holistically.
Yeah, definitely.
One of the cleverest books of all time is obviously How to Win Friends and Influence People. For that reason. The title is, how do you get all these dirty tricks and get your way, get people to do your way. And then not to spoil the book, the whole premise of the book is, unfortunately, you got to be genuinely interested in them.
Yeah.
And not even expect something when you just show interest in them. With that, that's it. And start there. And then things can snowball because it's, that person's just interested in me. So it's funny, but it's relieving. Because so much you feel like, I've got to get in touch and I've got to advance my career and this and that. And then you realize, the whole way along, I can just be myself. It'll actually be the most effective, which is not easy, especially today, because the environment we're in, there's always shiny objects dangling. So it's not always like easy, but as often as you can be reminded of that, I think is powerful. But yeah, I think the general call to action is like, the G word, like genuine just makes things flow and it's effortless because you just be yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.